Rev up your engines. Okay, today the question is, should you get a diesel truck for towing, like this F-350 Super Duty with a Power Stroke V8? Or should you get a big old V8 gasoline engine, like this GM 8.1 liter gasoline engine? 3500 GM dually. Now the Ford's also a dually, as you can see in the back here. If you're gonna do serious towing, you really need a dually with the two wheels in the back so they can pull something behind them or hook up a big trailer too, like my grandson has for pulling stuff. No, he couldn't make up his mind, so he got one of each. Now I bought both of them used, but even the way he bought them is going to show you the price differential. He got this thing for only $3,000. But so far he's had to put 5 more into it. To put another 5 in because the stinger tower is broken, so you might have to put even more in it. So realize, especially used, this thing's got 200-something thousand miles on it. You're going to put more money into repairs. That's just how diesels are. Now to compare this to the gasoline GM, he bought this for $5 grand, mainly because it only had 89,000 miles on it, and he's only had to put $2 grand into it. So he's in the whole thing $7, and it's great for towing stuff. As you can see, he's got a big trailer there. It's a dually, but it's gasoline. So when he's towing heavy loads, he might get 6-7 miles a gallon on this thing because it's a gasoline engine, where he can get 12 to 14 miles a gallon towing with this Ford diesel. Higher mileage, 200-something thousand miles on it, but it still shifts good. I'm actually assuming that the previous owners, one of them probably had the transmission done over, because often on these Ford diesels, the trannies will go out like 150, 160 or something. So I'm assuming it's probably been done over. It also has a tuner kit somebody put in. If you're talking new, the price of new diesels is so much higher than gasoline engines. They're using it for a professional tow truck company. They run a business. They want to get a diesel that can go hundreds of thousands of miles, and even though they don't like the price, they don't want to take a chance with some high mileage used diesel. For example, here's a brand new F-350 Super Duty diesel, $85,439. A lot of money. I looked at an equivalent gasoline F-350, it was $11,000 cheaper. And you got to consider, it only has 8 grand in this thing as it is. The whole used diesel truck with the tow kit and everything on it. When you're talking new, you're talking big price difference between gasoline and diesel. So let's switch over to the gasoline. Giant 8.1 liter V8. Let's see if it starts up. Get inside. Starts right up. You're gonna have a lot less problems starting a gasoline engine than a diesel one, that's for sure. Now the main reason my grandson bought this truck was for towing stuff with the big trailer, and it only had like 89,000 miles on it when he bought it. So, $5 grand. Not a bad deal. He put a couple of grand worth of work in it. Now he's got 7 grand. He's got something he can tow probably for years and years and years. These 8.1 liter engines are pretty strong. And since it's only got 89,000 miles on it, he didn't have to touch the engine. He probably not have to mess around there for a while, and the transmission still shifts good because it's pretty low mileage. You can see a 2005 truck. The dually wheels on back, he can pull all kinds of stuff. So when you consider that this has 89,000 miles on it when he bought it, it's got a lot of life, so what that it uses more fuel? It's just used for towing stuff. It's not an everyday driver. You're gonna have a hard time finding a used diesel with that kind of mileage. This thing's got like 250,000 miles on it, the Ford diesel. They're gonna be higher mileage vehicles. They're gonna require a lot more maintenance than a low mileage gasoline truck. When you're buying used, you always have to weigh everything. If you're not going to use it except for towing stuff around, you're not going to put billions of miles on it, probably spending extra money for a diesel, or buying an old one that's got a lot of miles. Heaven forbid you need a new diesel engine when it finally wears out. That's going to cost you a small fortune. Now, as you can see, this thing's been sitting for weeks. The batteries are flat dead, and realize things have 2 batteries in them. We're gonna have to charge them both up. They are much heavier duty or maintenance than gasoline vehicles, especially when they got 250-something thousand miles on them. So let's say you live up north where it's cold in the winter all the time. Hey, this thing might be old, but it's only got 90,000 miles on it. Starts up like a dream. It'd be a better vehicle than getting an old diesel that you're gonna have to mess around with trying to get it started in the cold weather. If you want the truth of the matter, parts and repairs are cheaper and easier on these gasoline engines. There's just more mechanics out there. There's more engines out there in volume. And unless you're towing cross country all the time, you're not going to care about the worst gas mileage versus the diesel. If you do a lot of cross country towing all over the place, you really got to get a diesel for that. Otherwise, the fuel costs alone will eat you alive. And like I said before, there's a big advantage of the gasoline trucks. Since they use a lot of fuel, people don't drive them every day. It's a lot easier to find low mileage gasoline trucks for towing stuff and for hauling stuff than it is diesels. The diesels are made for long distances. People drive them more. You got a big gas hog like this thing, you'll do like my grandson does. He uses it for towing. When he goes someplace else, he uses his other vehicles. It makes a good hauling vehicle. And when you're not using it, it's a gasoline engine. It can sit forever and then turn the key, it'll start right up. You don't have the problems that you're going to have with the diesel that sits a long period of time. The diesel fuel over time will get contaminated. There's actually a fungus that can grow inside it. They can't just sit forever and ever. With the gasoline ones, they don't care as much. So let's see if we can get this old Ford diesel running. Nope, the batteries are too flat dead. So we're either going to have to charge these up for an entire day, both of them, or replace them. This is a Rural King one, and it's February of 2022. So it's 2.5 years old or more. And this one's 4 years old, so it's probably going to need new batteries. Diesels put such a strain on the batteries, they wear out faster. I mean, the very fact that you got to have 2 batteries is bad enough. But you got to replace them a lot more often because starting up that big old engine strains the heck out of those batteries. And when you got a vehicle this old with 250,000 miles, it's going to take extra cranking. The starter's going to be worn more. It's going to take more amperage to get it going. So you kind of get the gist. The gasolines are a lot easier to maintain and drive over the course of time, especially when they're used ones. You're not doing long distance hauls. This thing's going to start and run all the time with the low mileage, 90,000 miles. It can go a really long time before anything wears out. Because let's face it, it's almost impossible to find a low mileage diesel truck for towing. Guys are buying them, they're driving long distances, a lot of them have an awful lot of wear on them, and since the new ones cost so much money, new one of these, $81,000 up. That's why you see a lot of guys towing with big V8 gasoline trucks. Just the economics of it, and especially frugal people who are smart and buy used. Because even a gasoline 3500, for instance, I checked out a 2024 brand new 3500 with the gasoline engine. It was $59,000, and that's not even this big old 8.1 liter engine. It's a smaller 6.6 liter. A lot of times the bigger stuff was better for hauling. Realize that everything's going smaller these days, and they're not that good for hauling. Some people didn't know, that I met recently, didn't realize till it was too late. They bought a new 4-cylinder truck turbo, gasoline. They found out it really wasn't that good for towing the loads they were pulling. So now you can get a better idea of the difference between gasoline and diesel trucks. So you can make a wise decision yourself and not get stuck with the wrong vehicle because you weren't aware of all the different aspects you have to consider before you buy one. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Checking out, a powerful nuclear reactor in the United States is making a landmark revival. Now, they're souping it up to generate more electricity again. They can retrofit these things. They can make them work better. It makes the most sense, right? The power that one of those things puts out. You'd need a whole bunch of windmills that don't blow all the time. You'd need miles of solar panels, miles and miles and miles and miles to make that much electricity. It only makes sense to use these things. Now, this is in the South in Arkansas, and there's another one in Mississippi. Listen to this. July 1985, the Grand Gulf Nuclear Power Station in Port Gibson, Mississippi made history by becoming the first and only nuclear power plant to produce electricity in Mississippi. Grand Gulf marked another milestone by completing a power upgrade July 16, 2012 that makes it the largest single unit nuclear power plant in the country and 11th largest in the world. It only makes sense. You operate them correctly, they create a tremendous amount of electricity. And of course now, they're more efficient than they used to be. Originally this one was 1985. They upgraded in 2012 to put out a lot more power. All this stuff can be done. Let's not hope the wind can blow us enough electricity. No, the nukes are really good at it. If only the idiot politicians would get off of their butts and stop throwing money into these windmills that don't work and solar panels that are a total waste of money for the tiny amount of energies they put out, for the large amount of space that they take up, and the large amount of money that they also cost, and they will break. Okay, these power plants, 40, 50, 60 years, the nukes are still going. Solar panel, windmills, they'll have broken numerous times between now and then. Listen to the true scientists and they'll tell you nuke is the only way to go for good, reliable, and cheap power in the long run, because it's going to go on for decades, not for 8 or 10 years. Oh, the solar panels broke. Oh, the windmills broke. The blades fell off. They started on fire, right? No, that's not the way to go. Nuke is the only way to go. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.